Hello, uncommoners and average people of the world. Thank you for tuning in to Uncommon Sense on this Freedom Friday, and a very merry holiday to all of you.
United, there is little we cannot do.
So this Friday, I want to celebrate this very special holiday season with love. Wherever you are, and whatever has been tilled into your life this year, kindness and good cheer are still a staple of this time of year, and still should be practiced more often. Probably more often than it ever was before. And on this subject, I watched a very interesting interview recently on Russell Brand's channel with a woman named Deeya Khan. I found myself listening intently to someone who considers herself to be on the left, and most certainly is, and yet I found myself agreeing with much of what she said. I suppose, in many ways, I could be labeled as a bit of a libertarian by some, but I'm also more conservative in many ways. Either way, there was a large middle ground of what she said that I fully understood. Then other areas where I could see where she was coming from, but I disagreed to an extent. And of course, there was places where the back and forth would be very lengthy, but maybe enlightening for both parties. And we'd still disagree in the end. And that's okay. I've spoken before of the middle ground, and listening to her strikingly different, yet strangely similar opinions and points of view, I felt an extra sense of assurance in my statements about finding the commonalities with those we disagree with, in order to collectively create the power necessary to dismantle the various world systems of which we are all placed at a level that benefits those in authority positions. I think we can all agree that in our government and the systems they have cultivated for decades, they have undermined the wants and the needs of its citizens, and for its own gain. In America, we have a constitution that protects our natural rights. I think we need to take it more seriously these days and realize that we do have the power to mold our own future. We are all human. We all have thoughts, opinions, and emotions. Authoritarians of any kind have always, and will continue to, use these natural things against us as a whole. They say, do, and allow things to happen that will surely create friction in society, and label each individual accordingly so that we all may be placed in squarely defined groups, giving others in society a blanket idea of who we are, when we are all so much more complex than that. Deeya said something interesting. She said, people have layers. And I thought, ha ha ha, like onions. How about parfaits? Everybody like parfaits. But then my brain said, so wait, we're like ogres? Maybe we are. Or at least we're like Shrek. And this might sound weird, but hear me out. Shrek was an ogre, and by default, he was a vicious man-eating beast. As the audience, we know there is so much more to him than that. And that maybe, if he felt a little more purpose or significance in this world, the picture we see would look a little different. My point is that all humans, like Shrek, are more than our appearance, and indefinitely more than the labels that we have been given. In every family, there are extensive differences in beliefs, opinions, and lifestyles. Families across America experience vast diversities of thought within themselves, and yet that unconditional love reminds us that our loved ones are not the enemy. There is so much more to each of them than their social or political opinions. These things will only divide us if we let them. If each of us takes the opportunity to try to understand those we disagree with on a similar level as those in our daily lives, and if we take the responsibility to realize the layers of those around us and have the uncomfortable conversations, we may find ourselves more alike than we ever thought possible. So here are some quotes that I noted from Miss Deeya Khan. She says, "I think people underestimate the individual responsibility and the individual acts of kindness. To only define people by their visual or their, any kind of superficial symbols is reducing someone's humanity. All the work I do is about recognizing ourselves and others. It is to try to locate the humanity in someone else, not so much to find their humanity, but it's actually an attempt to hold on to my own, and that's important. I know what it's like to be stereotyped, I know what it's like to be dehumanized, and I refuse to do that to someone else, even if that means that person is a Nazi. Because if I am willing to dehumanize someone else, then there is no difference left. It's not supposed to be convenient, and that's the battle, isn't it? It's about recognizing that I can see myself in you and vice versa, and once we can recognize that, it becomes harder for me to harm you or to hurt you. This is why, on a bigger level, why our politicians encourage us to dehumanize each other. It is so that violence becomes possible. We can't afford to give up on each other. We're all in this together, and I think if we give up on each other, then we are also giving up on ourselves. And I think then we are handing over our power, and I refuse to do that." So what do you guys think? Does she have a point? Is she off her rocker? Am I off my rocker? I probably am. But I think it's important to talk about these things and to freely express our opinions and thoughts on such subjects and remind each other that love is important, especially for those of us, like myself, that really don't talk about love. We don't really have conversations about that subject. And I think love is something more that we don't have to talk about, but we all need to show it just a little bit more. And that's all I have for you guys and gals today. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a like and a comment and share with your friends and family. Don't forget to subscribe and lay a smack down on the bell just to be notified when we release new content. Thank you for tuning in with me, and this holiday, put a little love in your heart. I'm Billy the Kid, signing out.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
Don't forget, Uncommon Sense is now available in audio form thanks to Anchor.fm, where you can also support the show. From Anchor, you can link to your favorite listening app or listen right from Anchor.fm. Anchor allows us to be available on 5 listening platforms as well as YouTube and Rumble. The Anchor link can also be found on our YouTube page on the top right-hand corner.